Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be looking at 3 midfielders that Manchester United should sign. Get into the comments below and give me all of your suggestions. If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe, smash that like button. But anyway, let's get this party started. So before we dive into the players, what kind of midfielder should Manchester United be looking at? Well, quite frankly, they need a partner for Bruno Fernandes, as the Portuguese Magnifico is going to play deeper in midfield as he progresses in his career. He's going to be orchestrating attacks with passes and instructions and really getting on the ball. At the moment, you'd probably say Bruno is more of a roaming playmaker, a player that at times can maybe move when the ball is being shifted around into an attacking midfield zone and get on the ball in those higher areas, having a 6 that can sit and hold. But as he progresses in his career, we're going to see Bruno Fernandes play deeper and deeper, and instead of being this kind of roaming playmaker, we're probably going to see less moves forward and more of him dropping on the ball deep and distributing the ball. So in terms of partners for Manchester United, I think there's a few things they need. Number one, they need to be defensively strong. They need to be athletic, good ball carriers. This would basically block out the weaknesses of Bruno Fernandes. But also if Bruno's on the ball in deep areas dictating the play, they've got to have that ability to play box to box and be a threat in the penalty area to create for teammates, but also to score goals. So with the understanding of what kind of player Manchester United need in central midfield, let's start looking at the options. But one thing that United don't have this summer is a lot of cash. So we're going to dive into 3 bargain midfield options. First up, we've got the ready-made English option, Hayden Hackney. Hackney is an expansive all-action midfielder. Very composed in possession and technically very strong. Hackney is always happy to receive the ball off teammates. Able to play line-breaking passes with ease, even more when under pressure. Hackney does like to drop into fullback positions where he has more time and space to spot a pass. Deceptively quick and a good dribbler, Hackney is capable of surging past challenges into space. He also uses his body well, getting himself between his opponent and the ball before he moves possession on or carries away from danger. In advanced areas, Hackney uses excellent vision to create chances for teammates with his passing, but as a fantastic ball striker, Hackney is also a serious threat from range. In fact, Hayden Hackney scored more goals from outside the box than any other midfielder in the Championship last season. Whilst his main strengths are in possession, Hayden Hackney is also good without the ball, intelligent and aggressive. Hackney isn't just good at winning the ball back through pressing, but he likes to goad opponents by purposely leaving a man free before quickly stepping in for an easy interception. So a big problem in football is when you're over-reliant on one player to make things happen. That has been Manchester United for probably the last 5 seasons, with Bruno Fernandes carrying United's offense, their midfield, and probably their defense as well. The big issue there is when teams are kind of aggressive on players like Bruno Fernandes and press them super aggressive high up the pitch and stop their rhythm and play, United really struggle with building attacks with progressing the football. The big thing with Hayden Hackney and his qualities on the football will allow Manchester United to play 2 playmakers, arguably 2 players that roam quite well. Bruno Fernandes with a vision and those Hollywood passes that come off. Hayden Hackney's more of a player that can carry through the centre of the pitch on the ball, but also break lines with passes into the feet of the forwards. And this is a big reason why I think Hayden Hackney would be good for Manchester United. Yes, he's not overly defensive. He's quite good when it comes to pressing, but he's not going to be a ball winner that's going to sit like a Casemiro or Ugarte, but very much a different profile. But I tell you what, he's got massive quality in possession. He had more passes into the final third than any other player in the Championship, but he also had 440 progressive passes, over 100 more than any other player in the division. And that ability to fire passes in between the lines is so important for United. Again, under Ruben Amorim, what you kind of expect is the outside centre-backs to be those players. Lenny Yoro's improvement on the ball was fantastic to see last season, and he got really good at progressing the play and breaking lines. But for example, if teams defend well against Manchester United and squeeze in a certain way, the midfielders need to be able to get on the ball, get themselves turned, and then fire it through to the likes of Matheus Cunha and Joshua Zirkzee. Then link it with the wing-backs, United can create these false counter-attacking situations. And that's exactly where Hayden Hackney would come in. A pure ball player. He is this season's Adam Wharton. If Man United don't buy him, they're going to be looking at 3 years down the line and say, oh, why don't we buy this guy for 20 million quid? Because now he's worth 60. Hayden Hackney's statistics were better than Adam Wharton's when he was in the Championship. And that shows the quality of him in possession. His 10.4 progressive passes per 90 would have ranked him #1 in the Premier League and 4th in Europe's top 5 leagues. This guy is superb. at breaking lines with a football. But also, I like when he roams into the final third. I think one of the other problems for Manchester United is when they get into the zone where teams are sat in a kind of compact block in the final third, you know, your classic 4-4-2, you can't really get through. One of the things that United struggle with, again, is something if Bruno Fernandes is being picked up and he gets no space. What I like about Hackney when he gets into the final third, he's a player that demands the ball and then will look for nice through balls to get forwards in behind the defence. He's very composed in these areas. If the pass isn't on, he'll move it on and move forward. But as well, I think from breaking out of the opposition's pressure, kind of high up the pitch, you know, we've mentioned before, if Bruno gets kind of doubled up on or tripled up on, United have got a real problem with progression. And I think, again, that's where a player like Hackney can really come into his own because his profile is different. He carries the ball very much like Declan Rice. With his ability to drive through central areas, it gives United another key to escape the opposition's press. United don't have enough ball carriers in these central areas. And for all of Bruno Fernandes' top class quality, he's never really been a ball carrier. Whereas Hackney has broken through many championship midfields, as we see here. So we pick up the play with Middlesbrough building out from the back. We've got Hackney highlighted in central midfield. As the ball goes into Morrison's feet, the press comes on from Leeds, but there's big space behind their number 6. And that's exactly the space that Hackney exploits. He receives really well on his right foot and then drives through. His ability to carry through championship midfields will definitely coincide with him being able to carry through Premier League midfields. This is an opportunity for Manchester United. Imagine Bruno's been picked up like Morris was there, Hackney driving through the centre of pitch and finding this type of pass. What I love about Hackney is he's not a carrier or he's not a passer. He is both. He has dual threat on the ball. He's a true playmaker in that respect. This pass is fantastic. The winger gets in. Unfortunately, the shot is saved because that would have been one fantastic assist. But I think when we're talking about that kind of progressive play, let's say Hackney's got into the final third, Man United have combined, they've got one of their wing-backs into a final area. Let's say if Bruno Fernandes has been dictating from deep, he's found that pass through the midfield, let's say. One of the big things that Bruno's partner needs to have is goal threat. And we've seen, unfortunately, that Manchester United's partners for Bruno don't really have that quality. Unfortunately, United sold Scott McTominay to Napoli and he went to go and win the Scudetto and MVP. But Hackney, in a sense, has got real quality from range. And this is an idea that I think Manchester United should really look at. It's having a player that's got the profile to crack these type of shots from range or alternatively arriving late. Allowing Bruno Fernandes to sit in these deeper positions, dictate the play through, and then potentially back it up on that side. Having a partner that can score goals, that can play box to box, would be perfect for the Portuguese captain. Just take this example against Manchester City. Bruno Fernandes doing some really good work on the right and firing a brilliant pass to Casemiro to get in behind Manchester City's defence. As his ball comes in, Ugarte's in a very, very good position, ready to counter press or to get on a loose ball. That's exactly what happens. The ball ricochets off Vardiol and it breaks to Ugarte on the half volley in massive space outside the box. This is what Bruno Fernandes' partner needs, the ability to score these types of chances. Ugarte doesn't quite get his body over the ball and fires the ball over the line. But this is something that's in Hayden Hackney's game, striking the ball from range. Take this example against Stoke City. In a good defensive position, teammates going for the tackle, and Hackney picks up the loose ball. Not only does he drive straight through the Stoke City defence, but he gets himself into a really dangerous area. Just outside the box, slips past another tackle, gets himself set and cracks a shot into the top right. A brilliant finish. This is what United have lacked in midfield. If you ignore Bruno Fernandes, they lack players that can strike the ball from range. And that not only is good against low blocks, but it's good in these situations with quick turnovers, carrying through and firing the ball into the back of the net. But let's go back to that example of Bruno Fernandes kind of dictating the play, sitting a bit deeper, moving the ball around from defence, getting it back and then playing through. Man United need a player to be able to break on the edge of the box like we saw with Manu Ugarte. I'll tell you what, we've got a great example against West Bromwich Albion. So we've got Hayden Hackney highlighted top of shot. Middlesbrough building their attack down the right. They find a really good pass inside into the half space. We can see that Hackney is demanding the ball. He's moved from that deeper area to attack the space outside the box. And I tell you what, this finish is sublime. Not only has he found himself a good pocket, but he takes it first time and sweeps it into the bottom corner. Again, something that Man United have lacked. In the signing of Matheus Cunha, now they've got threat from range. Signing Hayden Hackney to play in midfield as well, that threat gets even bigger. And in the big games, Ruben Amorim could change things. He could drop Manchester United into more of a back five structure, play Bruno Fernandes maybe in an attacking midfield position, and bring a true ball winner next to the likes of Hayden Hackney, which will still allow Man United to have one playmaker deep and one playmaker high, either playing maybe Matheus Cunha as that number 9 to get on the ball in those areas, or if they want to stretch the game in Brian Mbeumo, with Bruno Fernandes operating a bit deeper. Or alternatively, we could see United go more 3-5-2 in these big games. Think the likes of Inter Milan in the Champions League that have done it for so many years. It forces the opposition into really difficult passes. That would allow United to have 2 playmakers deep and the pace and the threat of Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha up top. And if we look at the defensive statistics, only Ugarte managed more defensive actions per 90, but their win rates are quite similar, showing that not only can Hayden Hackney battle in the Championship, but those numbers convert very well to the Premier League. So in conclusion, Hayden Hackney is an absolute tap-in, 20 to 25 million quid. This makes so much sense for Manchester United, and that's why he's the first player on the list today, an absolute bargain. Next up, we've got more of a physical option in midfield, Lucien Agume. Lucien Agume is a ball-winning midfielder. Physically very impressive, Agume is 6'1", aggressive, strong, and covers ground well. His physical attributes make him very well suited to winning the ball back, dominating opponents with tackles and challenges. But he also reads the game well and is tactically aware. This can see him help his fullback by doubling up on the opposition's winger, often cleaning up the danger. He did this superbly against Real Madrid. Despite Sevilla playing with 9 men for most of the second half, Agume had more touches than any of his teammates, won 4 out of his 5 tackles, made 4 interceptions, and completed 3 of his 4 dribbles. In possession, Agume is a calm and composed midfielder who's happy to escape pressure with a powerful carry. When Agume has time on the ball, he's quite expansive and is capable of finding the feet of his forwards. The Frenchman's vision is also quite impressive. Whilst his execution can improve, Agume can release wingers with long passes or with switches of play. Agume would bring a much needed physicality into Manchester United's midfield. Ugarte is more of a smaller, rattier ball-winning midfielder, and Casemiro is coming to the end of his career, whereas Agume is on the up. He would bring some physicality, he'd bring some defensive awareness, and also some decent possession stuff as well. The big thing with Agume that I like is he reads possession play in a very, very good manner for his age. He's a player that's very good at intercepting the ball, that being, let's say, passes that are going into midfield and then looking to kind of break the lines and go into a number 10's feet. Agume's got that kind of timing, when to step in, when to make that interception, which I think is different to Casemiro and it's different to Ugarte, who are 2 players that are very, very geared on winning the ball back. He's more of a holding midfielder that would complement Bruno Fernandes in a sense as he'd sit as the 6, which from a possession perspective, if Man United are building, what we probably tend to see is more of the kind of narrow band of 3 behind Joshua Zirkzee, with Bruno Fernandes moving from that deep area into number 10 and Agume moving into the 6. That ability to intercept is super important, and we saw him do it really well against Real Madrid in La Liga this season. So he picked the play with Agume in a defensive midfield position. What I like about this is the maturity, given his young age, to wait for the right moment to step in. So as Real Madrid do build down their right, they look inside to Arda Güler. Some defensive midfielders in this situation would be flying out to try and win that tackle. But Agume's noticed that Kylian Mbappe is in his space. He's dropped off the line into a number 10 area, with Bellingham stretching the play, being the kind of focal point of the attack at that point. But instead of again jumping into Kylian Mbappe, he spots the run of Valverde, and instead of diving in and making a tackle, he waits, intercepts the ball, and then superbly carries out of pressure. It's a big thing for the Premier League. You need your defensive midfielders to be able to carry. Think the likes of Caicedo or Belba. They are very, very good at breaking through. That allows you to escape pressure, play a simple pass, and retain possession. Something that Agume has got very, very well in his game. Agume would bring intelligence and patience to Manchester United's midfield, something that they lack in a sense of Casemiro and Ugarte are very aggressive to win the ball back, whereas Agume is more of a player that will step in and make the tackle at the right time. His win percentage is in the top 3% of midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. But going even further, the thing we mentioned previously, his ability to intercept passes is a big strength. He ranks in the top 5% of midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues in terms of intercepting the ball, winning it back, and then allowing his teammates to break. Which moves on to the next strength. After regaining the ball, Agume is a threat on the counter-attack, be that on the dribble as we previously saw, or allowing his teammates to kind of simply play through pressure after he's won it back, allowing you to draw the opposition on, and then being a threat in the final third on the counter-attack. That athletic ability is going to be really crucial. For Bruno Fernandes, potentially to be the distributor of the ball on the break, again, his long passing is pretty sensational. Having a player that can drive through and's got the athletic potential to attack space in the penalty area, really crucial. And we saw that against Alaves in La Liga. Sevilla playing through, Agume moving into a wide area, taking one touch, crossing the ball into the box, and it being finished off with a pretty decent header. But that ability to join counter-attacks is a big thing for Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes in defensive midfield. And I think with Agume, he's not just a ball winner. Think of Manu Ugarte, he's got that quality in possession in certain moments. Considering that Sevilla had less possession than Man United, only Bruno Fernandes in the United squad played more fat passes into the final third than Agume managed in La Liga. And I think that problem we mentioned before is if teams do fixate on Bruno Fernandes and do press him super aggressive in all areas from different angles, they could stop United. So having a player that's capable of playing forward at the right time is a real big benefit. Take these two through balls as examples. First coming against Atletico Madrid. Agume receiving in midfield, taking a good first touch, and almost playing a Paul Pogba-esque pass to split the defence, which the centre forward should be doing a little bit better. Or this one in another La Liga game against Osasuna. Agume in a bit of a deeper position, areas that he could take up for Manchester United. Receiving possession in the central area, getting his head up and finding this really, really good through ball that splits the defence and once again creates a really good chance that is fired wide. But I think the bigger thing with Agume, not only that talent, but the price point is very good. Reportedly available for around 20 million euros. Considering he's one of only 9 players under the age of 23 that has over 100 tackles plus interceptions, progressive passes, ball recoveries, but also 50 shot creating actions from live passes, I like the profile. Considering the fee, I'd love Man United to pick him up on a cheap deal, get him into the squad because he provides something very different than United have got in central midfield. On to the third midfielder that Manchester United should sign, and that is Javi Guerra, a player that we've looked at on the channel before. Last time I looked at him, he was a goal-scoring number 8 that had a classic British style of playing box-to-box. Now, he's added real quality on the ball. But before we dive into that, let's take a look at his profile. Javi Guerra is a box-to-box midfielder. Tall and lanky Guerra is a quick midfielder who is fantastic when under pressure. Technically very strong, Guerra is able to rely on his strong first touch to control the ball and his large frame to hold off opponents before accurately moving the ball on. Guerra has exceptional vision, and whilst he can use it to play clever flicks to get out of trouble, he can also use it to play line-breaking passes that expose the opponent. What's more is he can play off both feet. Without the ball, Guerra shows intelligence with off-the-ball runs, notably into the channels. His movement and composure has made him a sizable goal threat from these positions, often finishing low into the bottom corner. Defensively, Guerra could be more intense, but when he does commit to pressing, his speed allows him to close opponents down quickly, but at times it can see him overcommit and get beaten on the dribble. In his first season at Manchester United, Guerra could be a situational weapon. Think Scott McTominay. He could play deep in possession next to Bruno Fernandes, or actually could be moved higher up the pitch and potentially could be a ball-crashing number 8, allowing Man United to maybe play Kobbie Mainoo with Bruno Fernandes deep in midfield. Guerra's got that goal-scoring quality you mentioned previously. But more importantly, let's say if he is playing as the number 9 with Joshua Zirkzee back in that centre-forward position, he's got the quality to not only drop off into nice little pockets of space, but he moves the ball on quite quickly, which I like. It allows United, or would allow United, to keep possession moving. But also what it could see is United playing a bit of a passing combination, allowing Bruno Fernandes into an area where he can receive the ball and then he could potentially play forward. It basically alleviates a lot of pressure. I think the big thing with Javi Guerra in terms of receiving with his back to goal, he's very good in these situations. So let's say the opposition's 8's jumped and they're pressing potentially in a 4-4-2 diamond. Javi Guerra's definitely got not only the body balance and the strength and the quality on the ball to hold off Premier League midfielders. I think this would allow potentially Bruno Fernandes to play a little bit more offensive if needed. Another one of his qualities is ability to attack space. And for example, if United are building their attack up and Bruno Fernandes is in possession, Javi Guerra is very, very capable of making those attacking runs. He combines intensity with pace, which allows him to get into the final third. But as well well, I think he'll offer an option not only to move the ball on, but also to progress the play, and we saw that against Barcelona. At this point, Valencia were 7-1 down, but Javi Guerra was still demanding the ball, and I think that shows a bit of personality of a young player, a young man that's not going to shirk the responsibility. In this situation, not only does he check his shoulder really well to see whether there's any pressure, but he takes a very good first touch out of his feet, which allows him to instantly fire the ball to break the lines into one of the forward's feet. Unfortunately, Valencia in this game were very, very poor. They had quite a few situations where Guerra had broken the lines, but the ball kind of found its way back to him. But not discouraged by his teammate not turning and attacking the Barcelona back four, receiving the ball back and then hitting a brilliant switch out to the right-hand side, which creates a 2v1 on the far wing for Valencia. It's another situation where Guerra's done really well. You could see potentially a bit of interplay here, and Barcelona have got a real problem. Not only can Guerra penetrate your midfield, but he also can penetrate your defence from deep positions, and we saw that in his assist against Real Betis. In a deep central midfield position, he receives a pass on the inside. His first touch is very good, opens up the pitch, and he shapes to play the switch of play. But he switches it up and plays a fantastic reverse behind the defence to allow the attacker to race in, dink the goalkeeper, and Valencia to take a 3-1 lead. Guerra's got real quality on the ball. We didn't quite see the first time we looked at him. There's been some big improvement, and I love players that get better and better over the years. They're the players that you want at your football club. And not only has he got quality in possession, he attacks space really well, especially in the channels, which could give United really good balance on this right-hand side, considering that Amad Diallo and Brian Mbeumo both left-footers. Having someone of Javi Guerra's quality to potentially finish off moves on his right foot after making channel runs, let's say getting ahead of the play, could be a big thing for Manchester United, and we've seen time and time again in La Liga, Guerra get himself into the box and put the ball in the back of the net. And we saw that against Celta Vigo in La Liga this season. Guerra in more of an advanced 8 position with his partner sitting a little bit deeper. Think Bruno deep, Guerra high in these areas. Not only has he got a good ability to link the play, which means that he'll be pretty suitable as well to play as an attacking midfielder for Ruben Amorim, but it's the threat in the penalty area that I really like. He's one of those players that makes the move at the right time. You think he's not really kind of doing anything now, and then bang, shoots himself in behind the defence, good first touch out of his feet, and the finish into the top right is quality. And when we look at that box-to-box nature, that is a classic English midfielder. And we saw that in his assist against Osasuna, starting the play deep in midfield. These are the types of runs that Man United midfielders just don't make. Starting deep, getting on the ball, allowing the opposition to kind of get into shape before dropping a little pass inside, instantly giving the attack momentum. Driving through, making an underlapping run, getting found in the channel once again, getting his head up, low cross into the box, Valencia score. That all comes from him deep in midfield, a fantastic goal and a real reason why he'd work in the Premier League. Defensively, I think there's still work to do, given his big size, his aggression in the challenge. I think that's something that Ruben Amorim could tweak and evolve. When we look at his numbers versus dribblers, there's definitely an area of improvement needed there to fully succeed as an 8 in the Premier League. But I love the raw material. I love the improvement from the first time I've watched Javi Guerra to this second time analysing him again. The big thing is contract expires in 2027, which means United could get him for around 25 million euros. That is a bargain for a player that has improved massively over the years, has got real quality and vision that is not really there for a number of midfield players we've seen at Old Trafford. He's a signing that would make a lot of sense. So that's been 3 midfielders Manchester United could sign. If I could pick one player out of this list, it would be Hayden Hackney. I think his ability on the ball is something that would massively improve Man United. He's English, championship proven, would instantly fit into the squad and provide Ruben Amorim with a very good option in central midfield. Get into the comments below, out of the 3 midfielders we've spoken about, which one would you sign? I've been Statman Dave, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.